We have about 3 more weeks of the Club World Cup. Have you attended any matches? What thoughts do you have on the event? Please share them with me. I'd love to get your point of view. And this is your morning Buzzcast for Wednesday, June 25th. Good morning, I'm Abe Madkour. I'll be in Atlanta Thursday afternoon speaking at the Business of Sports Summit put on by the Atlanta Business Chronicle. If you plan to be there, please say hello. And Wednesday night, tonight, the NBA draft will take place. Thursday's round 2, it'll be held at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. First round, 8 o'clock, ABC and ESPN. Second round, Thursday, 8 p.m., ESPN. What a change of fortune for the Dallas Mavericks, who are set to land Cooper Flagg and see brighter days ahead for that franchise. We're going to talk a lot of NBA news. First, from the Orlando Magic, some personnel news, as the team has elevated longtime CEO Alex Martins to vice chair. And this is part of a restructuring that will see Charlie Freeman, who started as an intern, take over day-to-day business operations. So what does this mean? Well, Alex Martins will remain as an alternate governor at league meetings. He'll advise Charlie Freeman, and he has groomed Charlie Freeman, a former 40 under 40 honoree, over the last couple of years as they plan this succession direction. So Charlie Freeman will oversee personnel, ticket sales, partnerships, arena ops, HR, communications. He'll report to a franchise board of directors, and like I said, this succession planning has been in the works for almost 3 years. And after 14 years as CEO, Alex Martins, who is one of the best in the business, is ready to move on. Also, as is consistent with the DeVos family, they now are preparing the next generation. Ryan DeVos, who has been the club's vice president and living full-time in Orlando, will become managing director and will closely work with Charlie Freeman, as well as president of basketball ops Jeff Weltman and the board of directors. So he obviously is being groomed for the future. Ryan will be joined by Cole DeVos, who is relocating to Orlando to begin his own management development program with the team. Again, consistent how the DeVos family has operated the franchise. They've always promoted long-standing employees from within, and the family also has been involved with the business. Look at some of the tenures of these executives. Alex Martins has been with the Magic for 31 years. Like I said, 14 as CEO. Charlie Freeman started as an intern, been there 30 years, now will oversee all business operations. And Chief Communications Officer Joel Glass, he's been there for 30 years as well. So you see the planning, you see the plan. Alex Martins, one of the best in the business, again, transitioning on after 14 years as CEO of the Orlando Magic. Let's move on, but stay with the NBA. The end of the Glenn Taylor era in Minneapolis for the T-Wolves and the Lynx. As more than 4 years since they first agreed to a multi-year process to become owners of the team, Alex Rodriguez, Mark Lowry were approved as controlling owners by the NBA Board of Governors. This marks the end of 3 decades, well, more than 3 decades of ownership by Glenn Taylor, who really was one of the more well-respected owners in the league. This deal values the franchises at $1.5 billion. And you may be shaking your head. Wait, doesn't this come a few days after the Lakers were valued at $10 billion? Yes, that's true. These two are paying 15% of that price to become NBA owners. So frankly, A-Rod, Mark Lowry are getting a great deal. And this was a complicated deal. So what's up for the T-Wolves and the Lynx? Well, for the T-Wolves, you have the draft tonight. And then you want to see a few things. What is ownership's plans for the future of the Target Center? That is one of the oldest facilities in the NBA. Also, will these new owners spend money like Glenn Taylor did? Remember, the T-Wolves, a good team. They advanced to the Western Conference Finals in consecutive seasons, and they spent money to get there. They were over the NBA's second apron this season, which means that Glenn Taylor had to make a luxury tax payment of more than $85 million by exceeding that second apron. So will these owners spend like Glenn Taylor did? In addition, as we noted on the Buzzcast earlier this week, the new owners will have to rebuild the team's business operation. They have had a number of departures because everyone saw this change in ownership coming. They'll need a new CEO, a new CRO, a new chief sales officer, I believe. I expect Mark Lowry to take on a larger role, certainly on the business side, but there are opportunities as we enter in a new era for the T-Wolves and the Lynx. Staying with basketball, the Fever, they are clearly one of the hottest brands in all of sports, and Pacer Sports and Entertainment is working hard to leverage that high profile right now. The team's number of sponsors has grown from 65 last year, which was already among tops in the WNBA, to 85 sponsors this year. 85 sponsors are attached to the Fever. That is a really hefty number. And according to Sponsor United, the research firm, there is a lot of room for growth. Listen to this. WNBA teams generated less than 5% of the sponsorship revenue of NBA teams in 2024. To put it in perspective, the W collected about $76 million in sponsorship revenue. That's compared to $1.6 billion from the 30 teams in the NBA. So if you break it down, it would average about $5 million per W team in sponsorship. But we know that they're not all equal. You have teams like the Valkyries, the Fever, they are getting far greater sponsorship revenue than some of their other colleagues. So again, a lot of room for growth in the W on this local sponsorship revenue side, and the growth in sponsorship of women's sports is growing at a very rapid pace. And a good example is what's going on with the Fever. Earlier this week, we talked about groundbreaking of the A's new ballpark in Las Vegas. It was Monday. Here are a couple details that people wanted to know. The ballpark will cost about $1.7 billion. And the Fisher family, who owns the A's, and their money, of course, was from the Gap and other retail, is responsible for $1.4 billion of that project's costs. The ballpark will be intimate. It'll have 30,000 seats. That's a very tight environment compared to other ballparks. But they will have 81 suites, which is a lot by today's standards. They'll also have 3,000 standing room tickets across the venue, which is kind of the norm as people want social areas to hang out. The project should take about 32 months. It's scheduled to be completed for opening day in 2028. And yes, I'll agree, there has been a lot of skepticism about if this ballpark would even get built and if the A's would actually move. But this is the clearest sign yet that all systems are go. Yes, John Fisher, he's convinced the ballpark will open as scheduled, and he is in the market seeking additional funding to lower the cost of his investment and cover any cost overruns, because we can anticipate cost overruns specifically with the high cost of building venues right now and tariffs. But here's something to keep your eye on. Mark Bedane, he is president of the A's. He's been in the Las Vegas market for years. He was critical to building Allegiant Stadium. Bottom line, he knows how to get things done. He's very well regarded, and that bodes well for this ballpark opening on time. And we'll end with this, a move for a top talent agent, as WME's Josh Pyatt is going to leave the LA-based talent agency by the end of 2025. Now, Josh Pyatt's contract is expiring at year's end. There were some talks to have him stay at WME, but they were unable to reach a deal. Now, Pyatt, he is very well respected. He's a former 40 under 40 honoree. He's both an agent and a partner in the firm. He's helped represent top talent, LeBron, Michael Strahan, Peyton Manning, Dale Jr., Stephen A., across various high-profile endeavors. He's got an unbelievable Rolodex, great contacts. Industry sources have said that he's been thinking about his next move. He could go to another agency like Excel or Wasserman. He could join former colleague Patrick Weitzel, who has launched his own sports group. He could go on his own. So this is not entirely surprising. There are a lot of changes in the agency and talent business. We know that WME has seen a number of changes since private equity firm Silver Lake took Endeavor private in March. They divested from their basketball and football representation practice due to potential conflicts of interest. So there's a lot of moving parts. There's almost a form of musical chairs to see where people land when the music stops from here. But Josh Pyatt, connected, talented, and will have plenty of opportunities. But this won't be the last move in the Hollywood talent agency space. Certainly more to come. And so that is your morning Buzzcast for Wednesday, June 25th. I'm Abe Madkour. Stay healthy, be good to each other. I'll speak to you on Thursday.